Hello everybody! It's Monday and that means more book writing or book preparation. National, I was about to say National Novel Writing Month is coming up, but that of course isn't true because NaNoWriMo, as it was always also called, is no more. Yeah. I hope you had a great weekend. Mine was pretty good. So I can't wait to finish off Monday here with a little book writing. As you can probably see, I'm wearing green, and which I usually don't because, you know, I got a green screen. But I found something, and we might as well just have my green screen check here. I found something I just want to show you. I thought it was quite fun. It's blue! Well, I found this old green/blue screen that I made for back when it was the back when I had my gaming channel that I made before I actually got my green screen from Elgato. I paid for it. And I figured I wanted to try it, see how it works, and it actually works pretty well. So there's that. I just thought that was kind of neat and a fun little way to get started. To show you guys a little behind the scenes. You can also see my room there. Hopefully it wasn't too bad, and just how bad my lighting setup is. Let's go. All right. So Wednesday we continued, of course, our hero's journey for our first book in the Eveningsun Trilogy. And the hero's journey, just in case you are new, the hero's journey is a very, very classic. Hello, Amdios, welcome to the chat, welcome to the stream. Yes, I know, blue screen technology, it is amazing, isn't it? Anyway, the hero's journey is a 12-step, not a program, but 12 steps to make sure you have a good story structure. It starts off with an ordinary world. You see the hero in their everyday life. There's a call to adventure. There's the initiating incident of the story, refusal of the call. The hero gains supplies, knowledge, and confidence needed to commence the adventure. So something happens that pushes the hero into the actual adventure. Then there's a meeting with the mentor where the hero experiences some hesitation to answer the call, but they meet the mentor and are these two? I think I mistook those, actually. Let's just check something. So some live streams ago, we of course did a whole hero's journey presentation with Star Wars. We're not gonna go through that, but I feel like what we wrote here, refusal of the call, this makes more sense in the meeting the mentor kind of way. So call to adventure, meeting the mentor, refusal. Yes. Huh. Interesting. Refusal to call. Okay, so I messed that up. That's cool. Good thing we didn't build up this whole book yet on a shaky foundation at best. No, I still think this makes way more sense that the hero would gain supplies, knowledge, and confidence needed to commence the adventure during meeting the mentor, and refusal of the call would be the hero experiences some hesitation to actually answer the call. right? I think we just mix it up. But what we actually wrote here actually makes sense for the refusal of the call. And then meeting the mentor, the heroes gain supplies, knowledge, and confidence needed to commence the adventure. That moves into crossing the threshold, which we did last time. The hero commits wholeheartedly to the adventure and tests allies and enemies. The hero explores a special world, faces trials, and makes friends and enemies. The way we're gonna do that is that, of course, as Captain Barbosa said in Pirates of the Caribbean, the Pirate's Code or the hero's journey is more like guidelines than actual rules. So we're gonna mash those two together, I think, crossing the threshold and test allies and enemies. And that's sort of where we left off Wednesday. So now we're going to do the 7th one, approach to the Inmost Cave, which will be followed by the Ordeal. Oh, let's just recap the whole hero's journey before we continue. The hero approached the Inmost Cave. The hero nears the center of the story in the special world. In terms of Star Wars, that is where Luke and Obi-Wan and Han and Chewie goes into the Death Star the first time, the only time. The Ordeal, the hero faces the greatest challenge yet and experiences death and rebirth. The reward, the hero experiences the consequences of surviving death. The road back, the hero returns to the ordinary world and continues to an ultimate destination, which then leads to the resurrection. The hero experiences a final moment of death and rebirth, so they are pure when they re-enter the ordinary world. This is basically the climax of the story that's going to happen here in the resurrection. And return, it all ends with return with the elixir. The hero returns with something to improve the ordinary world. Last time, I don't remember if it was Tuesday or Wednesday, but last time we did have this moment of clarity. El Cuervo, hello. How's everything going? Welcome to the stream. You haven't missed much. We have just recapped the hero's journey for the nth time, and I showcased how I'm now using a blue screen instead of my usual green screen. So you really haven't missed much, but great to see you here. I was just talking about how last week, Wednesday or Tuesday, I believe, we had a bit of an epiphany after talking about how I had trouble seeing how we would fit all of these 12 points into our story. And then it just sort of happened that we made at least an overview of all the different points in the hero's journey. So we now have somewhat of a working story. I was about to say strategy, but that didn't make any sense. I guess we had a working strategy for how to make the story. So I do pardon that I'm a little tired today. I went to a job interview, so that was cool. But it also, I slept horribly last night in anticipation, and it was just really draining, and I went for a long run afterwards. But here we are. It's Monday evening, of course. We couldn't not have the live stream with our still yet to be determined name for a book. I'm here with my average sized mug. I am the tiny person. And yeah, So shall we just read what we did last time? We did Crossing the Threshold last time. And Crossing the Threshold and Test allies and enemies will probably be made into a single chapter. Crossing the Threshold, where the hero commits wholeheartedly to the adventure, is, well, for Star Wars, that would be where Luke comes back to the moisture farm, finding it raided and his aunt and uncle killed. And in Lord of the Rings, crossing the first threshold would probably be Sam and Frodo walking away with the ring from back end. Maybe it could also be when they successfully escape from the Dark Rider the first time around. But as I mentioned, as I have mentioned before, I was taught the hero's journey with Star Wars and not Lord of the Rings, so I haven't actually looked into it too much. It was just something like this that just dawned on me, basically. Right, Crossing the Threshold will be that someone, the villain, tries to kill Vespa multiple times, but makes it look like accidents. It's going to be the first time after trying to warn the paladin leader, the second time after warning the squires. Of course, in our book here, we are following Vespa, a young 10-year-old, 12-year-old Feyen. What did we end up with? 10-year-old Feyen, Feyfolk. So she's really tiny. She's like just 10 centimeters above a chair seat in height. Who has been taken in by a paladin order at this castle where that was erected on the battlegrounds of an ancient epic battle. And she accidentally hears about a ploy, a conspiracy to kill the leader of this paladin order. And I did have an idea for that paladin order thing, which would be that, at least that was probably before her name, her surname, so like of the paladin oath, which is very standard. I think it's at least I know that's how they do it in Dungeons and Dragons. Paladins have different oaths, and it could be cool to have that distinction as well in my fantasy world, I think. So we just need to find out what the oath would be at this castle temple that we still don't have a name for, but it is where the entire book is going to take place. Paladins, ideas. Paladins are called oath instead of order. Then we could also have the Templars be the Templar Order. And the Templars, of course, being a sacred religious knight, a religious militia, just like the Paladins, but are focused on attacking and aggressiveness and fire, where Paladins are focused on defense, on standing the ground, defending, and water. So that's just something that I thought of randomly when I think it was yesterday when I was writing. I write a little bit every day. I do write a little bit every day, and I've done for almost 2 years now. And I don't know where it came from. I was writing Wand. I'm trying to finish it. I am finishing it. And I don't know where it came from. It was just a random thought. Guerrero says, so they're Fae and they're like paladins. Well, you could call them sanctuarians. Yes, well, that's a good idea. It's actually a pretty good idea. But, so the paladins and the Templars in my world are human orders, knightly orders, human religious militias. And I need to come up with some backstory as to how Vespa ends there. So the paladins are not Fae folk. That is just Vespa. But she doesn't know she's a Fae folk, of course. At least not until she meets the mentor, who's a ghost. A ghost of a Faean. I think it makes more sense once I get to call it, to write it down, and I get some background, because I want this great epic battle where that's sort of the background lore for this book. I want this to be between a great big shadowy evil, and then humans and dwarves and elves, and like they banding together to defeat this evil. And then the son of the evening, the original one, would be the one to vanquish. Sort of like, I was about to say the battle of the 5 armies, but it doesn't make much sense because they were all fighting each other. I guess it's more like in Warcraft 3, where the races band together to defeat the Burning Legion. That's my thinking, at least. Yeah. And that's also a reason I think we can really dig into the whole being an outsider, how difficult that is for a child, sort of like in Harry Potter, where Harry is an outsider based on the way he's treated. And I think that's one of the things that J.K. Rowling, even though she turned full Voldemort now, that was one of the things she did really, really well, was capturing that nerdy outsider that a lot of kids, I think, can relate to. And then adding to that the whole school years with exams and teaching and all that. We're not gonna go quite that far, but we are going to, I don't want to say a montage, but this crossing the threshold and my test allies and enemies should probably be over the course of, there's gonna be, I imagine there's gonna be time skips within the chapter, and we're gonna see Vespa in like Squire training. I think I've sort of ended up with that idea that so Vespa would not be the only young person there. There would be squires who are in training. But Vespa would be the only kid who has grown up there, and the only young kid. at this castle. And then that could lead into the second story, which is going to take place some years later, where Vesper is much more, or there's actually children around her age. Yes. Right. So we want someone to try to kill her. We want the villain to kill her. Not to kill her. To try to kill her. That would be a weird book if the villain tried to kill her. But of course we don't know. The first one is definitely going to look like an accident after trying to warn the paladin leader. Second time is after warning the squires. It's nearly successful, but then we find out that it definitely wasn't an accident. And then the mentor, the ghost, is gonna push her to solving it herself because no one wants to listen. So we set up this last time where Vesper tries to convince multiple people about the conspiracy. She goes first to support character number 1, which is her older sister, who is also human. She's a paladin. She's a fully fledged, probably still rather new, but fully fledged paladin of this order. She dismisses her, says that she doesn't want to hear about Vesper's fantasies and daydreams, and that she's preparing for her next mission, paladin business. Once again, she threatens Vesper with punishment if she doesn't stop bringing it up. And that needs to be some teachings of the 5 pillars punishment that Vesper hates. Teachings of the 5 pillars, of course, is the humans' main religion. They have an old religion here that is tying into the story. Right. I was just made aware of this today by one of my good friends. I came up with this. I just want to say I came up with these teachings of the 5 pillars on my own. I was actually quite proud of it. I took a lot of thinking. I was inspired by Pillars of the Earth, the title Pillars, and then having pillars, it got inspired by architectural terms. That's why the priests are called chapiters. That's why the Pope-like figures are called entablatures, which are all architecture related to like big temples, with big Greek Roman temples with pillars. And I was very proud of that. I thought it was really good. I chose 5 because, well, first I didn't have to come up with that many then, and second, it's one of the 3 fairy tale numbers. You have 3, 5, and 7. And third, I didn't want to mimic George R. R. Martin with his 7-sided star, which is also an allegory for Christianity. And then today, just casually, my good friend drops, did you know Islam has 5 pillars? And they're like really big in that religion. God damn it. I'm not gonna change anything, but it really, really looks like I just took that concept from Islam and used it here. Sure, it's different, but I mean, if you go to the Wikipedia page, Islam 5 pillars wiki. They're even using a temple with 5 pillars. And this, I think it's this one that would be the entablature, and a chapiter is this one, I think. Architectural speaking. And I was just like, fudge. God damn it. Ugh. So that was just a fun little thing that happened today. That I did not. It's like the slumbering giants as well. The religions of the dwarves. I came up with that on my own by thinking, what could dwarves think about with the mountains and such? And I was very, very, very proud of it. And then I think it's in Mexico. There's actually something called the slumbering giant, or at least the sleeping giant. And I went to Mallorca this summer, and they also had a sleeping giant. And I was just, no, I can't be. See, here he is. This is. Looks like it's in the US, but you know, you got the head, the nose, the mouth, the chest, the legs. Oh! I have no original thought. That is my conclusion. Let me write that down. Slumbering, sleeping giant. But like I said, I was like, I'm not gonna change anything, but it makes me look really, really, really unoriginal. And I know I am unoriginal and inspired by lots of things, but Equero says, I mean, I used communist symbols for my noble houses before realizing it. It can't be that bad. No. I mean, you could also... It also reminds me of that short story I made a while ago, where I tried to make sci-fi The Office, but just made Dune again. Ah, shit. Okay, without having watched The Office. I know. But I did watch Dune. They don't seem to have a whole lot in common, do they? Just judging from the tone and stuff. But you could also turn it around and say, like, at least I'm onto something when actual real world religions have these thoughts, right? And of course the 5 pillars in Islam is completely different from my 5 pillars. And my 5 pillars is at least they are based in Christianity. But no, I do think like it can't be that bad. Anyway, onwards with our book. Vesper goes to the blacksmith, who we might import Tuvihan from Calamity, one of our main characters who left the Dwarven Kingdom, Dwarven Empire of Shinakien, whom she likes very much, but he also doesn't really believe her and just pays lip service to what she's telling while working on weapons and armor for some upcoming conflict. This is going to be the reason why Vespa's older sister, supportive character number 1, is gonna be coming and going in the story. Vespa then tries to go to the temple, but the serious High Chapter does not know, nor does he care for how to talk to children, and dismisses Vespa by mocking her for even suggesting that a blessed military organization such as the Paladin Order would potentially be under attack like that by an old did religion at that. Another chapter of lower rank and good of nature that Vespa actually likes, likewise dismisses her, albeit more gently. And this could probably be Petar from Calamity, who was a chapter that was sort of, even though he's a good guy, he was sort of responsible for converting Tuvehan to the teachings of the 5 pillars. But I just think it would be cool to have extra characters from my own short stories, and it also mean that we don't have to come up with a whole new backstory for at least 2 characters. Yeah, soon to be out of people that she feels like she can talk to, Vespa turns to the cook. One of the only women at the castle temple. The cook, of course, cannot be bothered with such talk, as she is busy with food preparations instead gives Vespa more chores. Vespa, feeling like she's running out of options, attempts to go directly to the paladin leader, barging in on him, the son of the evening, and supportive character number 1 in the middle of making military plans, paladin order business. And then we mentioned this should probably be much earlier, which makes sense because the way it is now, if the first kill attempt happens after trying to warn the paladin leader, then the 2 kill attempts are gonna come directly after each other. So, I mean, it could even be here. So we would mash it together with her trying to tell supportive character number 1. That way it makes sense, right? It would make sense for a child to just, at least a headstrong child, to just go directly to the biggest authority where she is living and just barge in on him, and then they're all there. I think that makes sense. But let's just have it be the first point, the first that happens in this series of events. Maybe / most likely mash together with telling supportive character number 1. Okay, so Vespa accuses the son of the evening to conspiring to kill the paladin leader, which of course is denied by him and dismissed by the leader. The paladin leader instead calls on scolds. Instead scolds supportive character number 1, commanding her to get Vespa under control before she goes on a mission. And then, frustrated by the fact that no one wants to listen to her, Vespa turns to the other, much older kids in Squire training. So we want Vespa, one of her goals is, of course, to become a fully fledged member of the Paladin Order. And just realized something actually. That could be pretty cool. Why did we say that? That was up here. Adding additional idea. There are 5 paladin oaths and castles/temples. One for each pillar. Each of the 5 pillars. So that would e.g. be, for example, be oath of what are the different pillars? I don't remember that at all. The 5 pillars, it's prosperity. So we have oath of prosperity, oath of peace, oath of life, oath of feast, and oath of vigor. I mean, this is a cool idea, I think, and that would relate it directly. Prosperity. Oath of... I already forgot. Peace. Peace, life, feast, and vigor. Peace. Oath of life. Oath of feast. Vigor. Now, of course, that would mean... Oh. Didn't work. That would mean that we need to come up with what paladin school, what paladin oath would be practiced at this castle, but that could be... And of course, what it means. What does prosperity mean? What does the oath of peace mean? What did the oath of life mean? And the oath of life would of course be the main one, located in close to Havenbring. Havenbring being the sort of religious capital for the teachings of 5 pillars in my world. Elquer was gonna get something to eat. You are most welcome back once you're done eating, and have a happy dinner. Great dinner. Okay. Right. So, yeah, wow, we almost spent an hour just recapping. That was not ideal. Frustrated with the fact that no one wants to listen to her, Vespa turns to the other much older kids in squire training. 16 plus. While many shares the same view on her as the other people at the castle temple, finding her strange in many ways, no one does seem to take somewhat notice of her. One does seem to take somewhat notice of her. The squire of the Son of the Evening, who was also there when Vespa tried to warn the paladin leader himself, reassures her that he will reason with him, the Son of Evening. Happily, with finally having found someone who wants to hear her, even if it's just a squire, Vespa is nearly killed in another accident. And there we have it. Approach to the Inmost Cave. Yes. Okay. Now the live stream starts, everybody. Let's go. Starts for real. Like I said, approach to the Inmost Cave in Star Wars would be the section where the Millennium Falcon gets trapped by the tractor beam of the Death Star. And then the Ordeal is what happens inside the Death Star, where they rescue Leia and Obi-Wan faces Darth Vader and so on. Yes. So we have said for our overview that the hero nears the center of the story is which Vesper follows a suspicious looking son of the evening. And then accidentally finds the lair, a secret lair of the villain. And of course here we need to have a believable secret lair. So what could be a believable secret lair? That's a pretty good question, I think. What could be a believable secret lair? And why does the Son of the Evening act suspicious? We probably need to have, we need to have a subplot. Need to have a subplot of some kind where the Son of the Evening where he sneaks around, but he has good intentions for it. Does that make sense? So we need to cook up a subplot. God dang it. God dang nabbit. But it's fine. I mean, we're going to... Okay, let's make sure we don't miss that. Shepherds of the Temple. Oh! Sorry. The Son of the Evening. I don't think he's going to be the villain. Most likely not going to be the villain. But a red herring. He's he's going to be the Snape of our story. He's going to be the Hubert in Brothers Lionheart. I keep referencing that, but it's so good. Lionheart Hubert. Yes. He's basically also this Snape kind of... I guess Snape is the Hubert kind of character. Like he acts really suspicious. But that's mostly just because he thinks the two brothers are spies. So yeah, the villain character is definitely not going to be him. Grave Digger. Okay. So there's one here. I definitely need to... well, first we need to come up with freaking names for people. And we need to sort it out with all the different characters. Because I'm pretty sure I've used different numbers for different characters. The Son of the Evening. Needs a subplot that allows for him to act rather suspicious. Yes. Allows for him to act rather suspicious. Possibly relating it to the upcoming conflict, which we also need to have an idea, which we also need to make and to come up with at some point. Yes. Gets to act suspicious, but it turns out to all be in good faith. So Vespa has already tried to follow him once in the call to adventure. We had that Vespa doing some chores, some delivery. She bumps into him and he scolds her for being late with that delivery because he really needed it. Could be the subplot. And then he drops an item and she decides to bring it to him. So, oh, she sees a hooded figure going down to the dungeons. Okay. Being easily distracted, Vespa decides to follow. So not quite. I don't think medieval castles had like sewers, did they? Did medieval castles have sewers? Did have basic sewage system, but they were notorious bad at separating tap water. There usually wasn't a sewer system now. All they had was aqueducts leading fresh water into fountains. But the feces were dealt with manually in both towns and cities. There are some exceptions, like town having the residents around the cesspit built funnel from their houses. Interesting. How did people stay clean and healthy during time of medieval castles? Probably need this for some background stuff. Castle layout. Castle temple layout. I was just thinking of a good meeting spot. Or a good plausible secret lair. As I mentioned in the beginning of September, as I mentioned in another live stream, I was at the Tower of London, which I definitely think is going to... You can't see that, what am I doing? Tower of London map. So this was the map that I have here in my hands. But I definitely think this is going to be like a big inspiration for my castle here, for our Paladin castle slash temple. Because it had living quarters and armaments, and there's a palace in the middle here, and there's dungeons somewhere. It had a moat. All good things. Crown jewels, probably not for this one, but all good things. Yes, it's very, very cool. If you ever go to London, go see Tower of London if you haven't already. Right. So. Actually, let's go like this. One day after squire trading, after another unsuccessful squire training. I think this needs to be a pain point that she's not doing well. Like, she wants to become a paladin, but she's just not doing well. Especially with, like, Vesper here I'm talking about, of course. Like, she just doesn't have what it takes to be a paladin. In the sense that she doesn't have the ability to manipulate the blessed water that the paladins use for stuff like healing. That we also see her. We're going to see the supportive character number 1, Vesper's older sister, heal wounds and heal her bird Lemon with the blessed water. And this needs to be a pain point. Vespa is not doing well in training. E.g., for example, she cannot use blessed water like the other, like the paladins do, or even the other squires. Yeah. After another unsuccessful squire training. Vespa finds Son of the Evening doing what she thinks is mighty suspicious behavior. Decides to follow him. So this is going to be a literal approach to the Inmost Cave, because she's going to find the secret lair of the villain. This is of course where we need the castle layout, and I need to figure out what a medieval castle had. Like, what were the different quarters? Where was the blacksmith? Where was the dungeons? And of course figure out where everything are. We need a layout of the castle. We need so much stuff still. Oof. And we have about 3 weeks to do it in. Let's go. Because what if she follows him outside? I mean, it was just... Of course, I would... there would be a problem with... Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm tired, I'm sorry. There would be a problem with getting past some guards, I guess. I mean, she is a tiny being, but Okay, let's try what a believable secret lair would be in a medieval castle. Ideas for a believable secret lair. So it could be a secret room in some living quarter. If that were the case, it could make sense to have like that would raise suspicion, right? Even more that it is the son of the evening who is the bad dude, the bad guy. If it was in his living quarters. But what if he then didn't know about it and the actual villain has been using that secret room? Well, that would mean it would be someone who is not suspicious walking around the Son of the Evening. I do have an idea of who the villain could be. I have returned. Welcome back, dude. Welcome back. As you can see, I'm trying to have ideas for what could be a believable secret lair at a medieval castle. It could be a dungeon cell. An abandoned dungeon cell. An abandoned dungeon cell. But of course, we already have... Could be behind a furnace. That's a good idea. That would definitely implicate the blacksmith if it was a big blacksmithing furnace. Behind furnace in blacksmith or a kitchen. I was about to say abandoned dungeon cell. Our call to adventure, meeting the mentor, like that takes place in a secret cave, like an abandoned catacombs, led to that from the dungeon. So we probably maybe want to avoid that. But of course it could be a secret cell in some living quarter. It could also be, as we said before, cave just outside the castle, but still on the premises. If we're gonna have a fight in there, which is, you know, where the ordeal is gonna take place, if we're gonna have a fight in there, it probably needs to be a rather large living quarter space, I think. What if it was a secret room? Love secret rooms inside the temple. That would be like the ultimate FU to the new religion, the 5 pillars one, that an old religion is meeting in their temple. Or have a secret lair with stuff in there. The abandoned dungeon cell. The villain did meet up with someone in the dungeons, which then led to... Down in the dungeons, Vespa accidentally overhears the cloaked figure, the villain, talking to someone she cannot see. She overhears a conspiracy and learns about the Flood, one of the doomsday prophecies for the Equilibrium religion. So, I mean, that would sort of make sense if it was an abandoned cell or something. That they keep meeting down in the dungeons. El Cuervo says, what if it was in the interior of a rampart or wall? It's definitely a good idea. Inside rampart / wall. So we would be like, yeah, a secret door, a secret room in the wall. Because especially ramparts, actually, because ramparts were quite big. Right? That's a fairly good one. Ramparts. They were fairly big, like you could walk along them. A couple of people. So they would definitely be big enough for a secret room. Could also be in a tower. If we go with that idea. In a tower. But I guess that's less secret. Unless it's an abandoned tower. Maybe old / abandoned tower? Abandoned? But why is there an abandoned tower in the castle? Well, we are not yet shooting down ideas. We're just writing them down so that we may figure out what works for us. There's a defensive structure in Denmark that looks like this as well. That's interesting. Let's have a Google search for secret rooms in secret room castle. Hidden passages and secret rooms of building castles, blah blah blah. Do secret rooms in castles exist? Did medieval castles actually have secret passageways? Much more simple in real life than it was in fantasy books. Damn it! Behind a mirror. Love the ideas, El Cuero. So it would be like in a secret, like in some living quarters, behind a mirror, maybe. There We used to hide and keep safe important people who might be in danger of capture and possibly death. There were masters of building them. Sometimes they incorporate a secret tunnel to enable escape. Aha! It could be here. It could be secret passageway. Passageway leads to this. But of course, this does what I want to say. Like, this does follow that our current Son of the Evening, like what his subplot is going to be, what makes him look suspicious. Ooh, I have an idea. I have an idea for that. What if our good old Son of the Evening knows about the cult of the flood? Like, he's sort of actually he's actually working to help against it. So when Vesper comes in and here in Test Allies, whatever, no, down here, when she attempts to go directly to the Paladin leader and barging in on him, the Son of the Evening, and the supportive character number 1, and the Squire, like, he actually agrees with Vesper, but he can't show it because, well, first off, the High Chapter, as we will then find out, doesn't take it seriously because it's an old dead religion that, according to him, no one is practicing that. They have wiped them out with the Blessed Crusade. The Templars did. And also, the Son of the Evening feels like he needs to work in secret as to not alert the cult of the flood to his knowledge. Or Son of the Evening knows about the cult of the flood, or whatever its name is going to be. I feel like no self-respecting cult would call themselves a cult. Like, it's a very derogatory term, right? And you know they're the bad guys when you call them a cult. So I want to avoid that. I want to avoid whatever this cult is going to be called, calling them a cult. And like others are gonna call them a cult. But right now, because we don't have any names for anything in this story, except Vespa. And maybe Tuvehan and Peter, the blacksmith interpreter. That I'm actually quite hooked on that idea. If I can just... We're just gonna use the Call of the Flood. Whoever says maybe just church or whatever. Most cults do that in real world. Yeah, something like that, definitely. It's not something I want to focus on right now, but that is like what we're going to do. Yeah, exactly, like Church of the Dawn, something like that. Church of the Rising Water, Church of the Tsunami. No. So, the subplot could be that Son of the Evening knows about the Cult of the Flood being back, but needs to act sneakily as to not arouse suspicion. He does not know who or what they're up to. At least until Vespa barges in on them. Church of the Broken Pillar goes hard as fuck, for example. Yeah, it does. My only problem with that is, in my fantasy world, you have teachings of the 5 pillars, which they have their own broken pillars. That's what like the 5 sins are. That's the polar opposite of the 5 pillars, and that's an entirely different religion then. So this Cult of the Flood comes from a religion called the Equilibrium, which is much more elemental based, around fire and water. But you are right. Church of the Broken Pillar does go really hard. It is a very, very good name, actually. Maybe for another story, where there's a Cult of the Broken Pillars, that's Church of the Broken Pillars. I mean, I'll definitely need to make an mental note. Honestly, I'm going to write it in my little scribbles notebook, and so that I at least do not forget it. Religion, humans, Church of the Broken. Because why wouldn't there be a religious society sprung from the teachings of the 5 pillars that worshipped the sins, the broken pillars. Worshippers of sins. In the teachings of the 5 pillars. Well, 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 if it isn't Animo who have joined the stream. Hello, my dude. Well, you've missed me doing 40 minutes of recap and everything else than what I was supposed to be doing. And so right now we're doing the approach to the Inmost Cave. I'm just trying to have things make a little more sense. Because approach to the Inmost Cave is going to be Vesper following the Son of the Evening, the champion of this castle, because he's going to be acting mighty suspiciously. This Severus Snape type character, right? Just like Snape. And I think we've settled on the fact that he's actually going to be a good guy. That he knows this Cult of the Flood, which is the villain of this story. They are Cult of the Flood, being back, but needs to act sneakily as to not arouse suspicion, because he does not know who or what they're up to, at least until Vesper spills the beans, trying to get anyone to listen to her. Aquarius says, by the way, Animo says, the Inmost Cave being my... Yeah, I'm not gonna read that out loud. I don't know why I said that. No. You can think about why you said that on my stream. Then Aquarius said, by the way, I haven't mentioned it because I was dealing with bank stuff, but I set the Durandal aside for a while for this November's NaNoWriMo. I've got a thing I want to do before. Okay. You know what? That sounds amazing. And I love that you're also going to be doing NaNoWriMo, which we're going to call something else. I'm going to do a poll tomorrow here on YouTube and on Instagram. Because since NaNoWriMo is dead, we might as well settle on another hashtag and try to get other people to use it. I mean, there's probably not going to be much coming of it, but it could be fun. Have like hashtag novel November or hashtag Novembook. Or I have a few different ones that I think could work. But that sounds good. That sounds awesome that you're going to join in that challenge. Like I mentioned, I do intend to stream almost every day. Every day I can get to stream. So I'm at least going to showcase everything. Oh. I forgot my pen is blue. And since I'm blue screening, it just looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Animo. God damn it. No but November. It's like, no, not November. Instead, except it's not saying but to why you shouldn't be writing. Sure. Yeah, well, that's not going to be one of my suggestions. He does have a point. I agree on that. I probably wouldn't call it an elite idea, but it is an idea, and I guess it does lean up of a very, a very popular concept, though a bit different concept. God damn it. I'm just happy that I don't have the chat up on my screen, which I do plan on getting at some point. The So-Me wizard in you loves it. I know. I have no comment on that. What happened to the music? He said, quickly changing the subject. But Animo, you should totally also have something ready for #NovelNovember. Novelember. And I had a fourth one that I forgot what was. 50,000 words in 30 days. Boom. Back to my story. And not November. But that could be... So the Son of the Evening is actually... Because he's also trying to find the secret lair, right? He just haven't, so that's why he's sneaking around. He's trying to intercept a message or something. Or maybe he has intercepted a message. Animo says, I'm not sure I have the time to commit to it, sadly, not with my various work endeavors at the moment. I could maybe write a screenplay. Oh, well, you know, or you could follow along in what we're doing. Every single day, probably, I hope. I did have a job interview today, which went really well, and it would just be so typical that I would start a new job in November when I have this planned, and I have had this planned for such a long time. So that would be quite the challenge for me to juggle a new job, potential new job, and writing an entire book in a month. I mean, you could also just continue your Dreamscape your Dreamscape book. That would be nice. I love knowing that you guys are writing your own stuff on the side. By the way, El Cuervo, what's the... If you're not doing the Durandal book, what do you have in mind for this novel November, this NaNoWriMo? Animo says I need to get back on it now. I can actually focus on things again. Ah. Good thing you can finally focus on things again. I hope things aren't going too terrible in real life. Stupid fucking real life. Oh, it was just... Oh, yeah, you were Miguel. Sorry. Couldn't keep my head straight. Yeah. That was straight. Yeah, I remember that. If I was going to write something just for November, I'd probably write a prequel for it. Nice. Nice. I mean, I encourage you to be super creative and let me steal what you write, so it looks like that I'm doing the challenge. You can be my ghostwriter. I'll be alright with that. No. I wouldn't actually. Because it would be out of my control then. Or a sequel, because that would make 0 sense and it would be very funny. If you made a sequel, I don't know why I keep using my... I can't even use my Master Sword here, that's also blue. Well, it's better. If you would finish a sequel first, wouldn't that make the Dreamscape book a prequel? Because you would have finished the other one first. Eh? Yeah. Didn't think about that, did you? I don't know why that was important, but here we are. Okay, the suspicious behavior is that she is also on the lookout for the cult of the flood. Name TBD. Name TBD. Inmost says, but I have the means for at least one prequel book, maybe 3 if I was to make it a trilogy. Then I found 9 different sequel stories to the original trilogy. Dude, you goddamn need to get this stuff up and running, because so many trilogy ideas. I mean, there's gotta be some gold in there, I'm sure. When I say this idea is planned out, I mean it is planned out. Yep. I know where every character ends up and what happens to them after the fact or before it. Damn, son. So when I was last week, well, you were really ill last week, of course, but when we were discussing that I have no fucking idea what my second book would be about in this Eveningsun Trilogy, but I know the first and the third one, you were just sitting there going like, yeah, whatever, I just have 21 books planned. No biggie. Searching for maybe SOE has intercepted a message. Oh, this could be why. Actually, this could totally be why that Son of the Evening knows about the cult of the flood. Could totally work with why the paladin leader doesn't believe Vespa when she accuses Son of the Evening. Oh my god, it totally... I mean, I don't think it's particularly original, but it totally makes sense that could be the subplot for our good son of the evening. Animo says it's mostly beat sheets and log lines, to be fair, but that's enough for me to vibe off. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I have down for my second Eveningsun Trilogy book would be that it would be taking place in the immediate surroundings of the castle, in like a town that is next to the castle, maybe a forest next to the castle, right? Because I just really like the scaling of having one book taking place inside or like just on the premises of one castle, and then the next one is around the town, the immediate vicinity of the castle, and then the third one is taking place in the country that we're in, which I still need to figure out where and what it's called. But it's no biggie. It's no biggie. Animo says, yeah, that's pretty much how I plan out the sci-fi idea, more location-based, whereas the Dreamscape, it was more about planning based around characters. Ah, nice. So the Dreamscape is actually... That's basically how Stephen King works, right? He starts out with characters in some setting, and then he just goes from there. He doesn't have an idea for the plot. He doesn't know where it'll end up, and then he just writes 4 hours minimum every single day, and he has a book done in 3 months or something. Like done. I was just about to say, what if the conflict that our good supportive, our good older sister has to tend to is related to this rising of the cult of the flood. What if... That also means we don't have too many subplots, right? So the story does get a lot more focused, and it sort of ties together nicely, I think. And that totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. What if the paladin business mission / business is the rise of the cult of the flood? I think that totally makes sense. Animo says, well, original idea came in setting and base story, but the expansion of that is planning around the characters. Cool. I mean, you have that Nox guy in your story. He was like, I want to read more about him. He was so cool. Now, okay, so that's sort of the subplot that's taking place. That totally makes sense. Now we need to find a reason that Vespa finds the secret lair, wherever it may be. before. I mean, we did say accidentally, but... So she actually finds the secret lair of the villain. I mean, maybe it... It should be related to this flood, right? So the secret lair, it could be an underground lake. But the catacombs are already underground. It could be a cave right next to a river. And then the reason Vespa accidentally finds this secret lair is because she's tiny. Her size makes her able to get through places a normal human couldn't. So she gets in through a different thing than a door or passageway or something. Animo, you're writing, yeah, so the prequel I could write would be based around him and his brother over Nox. Yeah, that's the most drawn out prequel plan. Yeah. Him and his brother, that could be amazing. The other prequel, far less planned, is based around the character who owns a building with a tree in it. Without knowing anything about that character, I think you should definitely... The Nox and his brother, the twin brother, they hate each other, right? That could be a great prequel. Because there was so much intrigue just in that, in your first chapter, or prologue, I guess it was. Animo says, yeah, so it's why they hate each other and how Nox came to serve Tyrus, the big bad villain. Oh, the brother is introduced in chapter 4, right? Cool. That is very cool. Okay, so I feel like, going back to my book here, I feel like this approach to the Inmost Cave, it really hinges on that I settle for what the secret lair is, right? Or where it is. If it's a cave with a lake underneath, or if it's a cave facing out towards the river, or what if this castle is well, it probably wouldn't be. I was about to say, what if it was like on a cliff right next to the ocean? That would sort of make sense with the paladins being very much about water magic and the flood, they could rise the seas. But I think that sort of gets in the way of stuff I have planned for the third book, so we probably don't want to do that. I just had an idea. What if the plan to kill the paladin leader was to poison him, or like poison a cup of blessed water that's going to be used in some sort of ceremony, some sort of ritual? I of course would need to figure out what that ritual would be, but then we would keep in line with the whole water theme of the paladins, which I really like, because I feel like I have very much already made stories about the Templars and their fire abilities, both in Burn the World and in Equilibrium's Fall, the two one-minute stories. And yeah, I just want to show the other side of that coin, because the Templars and Paladins, they come from what's called the Knights of the Lily, which was this religious military during the old human religion, and they used both fire and water magic. And then they split into the Templars and the Paladins. But what I was trying to make my way towards was the fact that it would make sense then if the secret lair would be in the temple. And I do quite like that, especially if we talk about this guy, the High Chapter, who's like dismissing Vespa and saying like, no, that religion, that old religion, the old heretics are dead. And then in his own temple is where the villains are conspiring to take over and bring the flood to cleanse the world of the unworthy. And I guess Vespa could accidentally, like, to avoid getting caught, she could jump into a pool of blessed water with some sort of, I don't know, some sort of aqueduct or something that leads her to a secret lair. So like she does stuff. She's going to be doing a lot of stuff accidentally, but I still want to give her agency when accidents happen, right? I don't want to... I guess I'm a little bit worried that I end up in Star Wars prequel territory in The Phantom Menace, where Anakin just accidentally hides in a ship and accidentally turns on the mission computer and accidentally goes up into the spaceship and accidentally shoots and blows it up, and thereby saving the day purely by accident. I think some accidents are okay, but there needs to be agency, and Vespa, our main character, needs to save the day by her actions, right? And you know what? Having it take place, the final showdown in the temple, that would make so much sense, I think. That could be a really good... really good final showdown. A setting for final showdown. And also it could make like, so the catacombs would be below. Where was our beautiful picture? This one that we drew a couple of live streams ago. So she would oh yeah, I just realized something. We need to somehow get to the fact that Vespa gets trapped down here a second time and then crawls up through the vent right next to the temple, and I want her to smash her way into the temple because she's not allowed in there or something. And then she manages to I don't know, to get the cup of poisoned blessed water out of the paladin leader's hands. He sees that it is poisoned, and the villain just straight out attacks the paladin leader. Son of the Evening intervenes, gets killed in the process, and Vespa somehow saves the day. Well, maybe not her directly, but maybe she enables the supportive character, her older sister, to do it, to save the day. I feel like the puzzle pieces are slowly coming together. I do think it is a nice plot to have a subplot about the rise in the cult of the flood. But yeah, like I said, approach the Inmost Cave. It could also just be like a secret nook in some like El Cuervo mentioned, in the ramparts. And then yeah, I feel like my train of thought is all over the place. I keep interrupting myself. Right in the middle of my speech. Now that is great entertainment. I know. I quite like the fact that Vespa would jump into a pool of blessed water to avoid getting caught. And then have the last showdown take place in the temple. So we sort of revisit multiple locations within this castle. What if it's like behind the statue in the temple? It's behind a pillar. A pillar or a statue, yeah. And so Vespa sees Son of the Evening you know, trying to push or open a door or something. And then Vespa, because of her small size, well, maybe not that small, but because of her small size, she's gonna be that tall. Maybe taller. But because of her small size, she can actually push herself behind it, right? So she doesn't even need to move the statue. She can just get behind it herself. I don't hate that. I don't hate it. So Sesui is maybe one knight here. Maybe one knight is going to the temple. Going to the temple, but except there's no service or other reason to be there. Inside the temple. Oh. Aquarius says, I think I'll go now. Tomorrow might be a tough day. Just before I leave, will there be a streaming tomorrow? Actually, not tomorrow, I think. But Wednesday, I'm definitely going to be doing stuff, streaming Wednesday. So, thank you so much for coming here. For dropping by, El Cuervo. It's always great to have you. And I hope tomorrow is not gonna be as tough as you are anticipating. I hope it's just gonna be a breeze. Yeah, no problem. Said good, thanks for the information. No problem. Because I also think that I want to do some background stuff tomorrow. On this, I want to figure out some names, and I'm not sure that's necessarily going to be stream material to figure out names, because, you know, there might be some background stuff that I'm not sure I want to share with everyone just yet. But yeah, you are of course more than welcome to join on Wednesday. Hopefully we have done the approach to the Inmost Cave at that point, and we are well on our way to the ordeal, maybe even the reward, maybe even the road back, because they do feel, these three do feel quite, I mean, much like we meshed together 5 and 6, these feels quite intertwined as well. I just had a thought. If this behind the statue thingy could be the way we went, then behind the statue could be a passage. A secret passage that leads down into the dungeons. And like that was where. So we could sort of combine them, right? And that's how Vesper ends up being trapped again in the catacombs. Yeah, I think I definitely, yeah. There's something there. And there's something taking shape there. Okay, inside the temple. Don't know why it's... I guess we do actually want it capitalized. We've done that with the other temples in Danger and in Equilibrium's Fall. Yeah, I think it can make sense. So if Vespa up here in the call to action, call to adventure, the over here is part one of the plan. Or inside an abandoned cell. I think that could definitely be a secret lair with like an abandoned cell, and then if there's a secret passageway from the temple here, that could lead down to the cell. And Vespa, not knowing better, would just see the Son of the Evening come back, or like searching this statue, right? Inside the temple. Vespa finds Son of the Evening searching. Except she doesn't know that. A statue. As he gives up, Vespa Vespa hide. Oh, sorry, I had another random thought. Because I quite like that she accidentally goes into, like, she goes into the water, into a pool of blessed water. And then squeeze down into a secret passage. You know what? That pool could be like against a wall, right? So it would be like a half pool or something with a statue. And she just sees him walking away from that. She sees the Son of Evening walk away from that. She goes in to investigate herself. Son of the Evening comes back and she jumps into the water, into the pool, and notices that behind this statue under the water there's a gap, and she squeezes into that gap and it leads into a secret passage with the water being held up by magic, right? This is Cult of the Flood. Of course they're going to use water magic. And that secret passageway then leads down into an abandoned cell. You know, I think we're onto something here. I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. Walking away from a pool / basin of blessed water. With a statue against the wall. Of course, what would the statue be of? What would the statue be of? something with of course. Vespa goes in to investigate things. The Son of Evening is coming back. That same pool / statue. Son of Evening, or maybe a chapter, just a chapter, maybe just a chapter. Comes back, and Vespa decides to hide in the water. Here, she notices a gap underneath or behind the statue, which she is able to squeeze through. We're using her small size. You know, I'm actually quite happy that we found a use for Vespa's small size. Like, I've always wanted her to be Fey folk, but now I feel like there's a story reason for it, and not just that I want her to be Fey folk. Like, she is based on my she's based on my World of Warcraft character, right? Who's a gnome, so that's the reason. Yes, quite happy with this. Finally have a story reason. As to why Vespa is a Fey folk and not a human. And a party emoji. On the other side, Vespa falls into a secret passageway. the water is being held up by water magic. By magic. So it doesn't leak into the passageway. And of course, the secret passage. And of course, this comes after we have seen Vespa try her squire training, and where we've seen her older sister, supportive character number 1, use blessed water to heal. Squire training, we're going to show other uses of water, maybe much more in defensive use. And of course we see Vespa fail miserably at it. So we have established that water magic is real, right? Water can be manipulated, water can be used to heal people. Yeah, that has already been established. It's quite nice. I think so, yeah. Honestly, I gotta say I'm kinda happy with how this is shaping out. Shaping up. Not out. Shaping up. This is good. I think we're finding like good reasons for why things are happening. I don't know why I keep using this as a fiddle toy. I don't have anything else. Oh, I have a samurai sword. It's not big. It is... I forgot his name. Zenitsu, I think. Zenitsu from Demon Slayer is his sword. And all because I wanted to wear... I finally wanted to wear my Link hoodie on stream. There we have it. You can see me fiddling with this. This is just white and not white because I'm keying it out. I don't know why that's important. But yeah, I'm very happy with our story so far, actually. It doesn't seem like there's some weird plot hole going on. Of course, there's still a hell of a lot of background stuff that we need. The secret passage, following the secret passage, Vespa finds herself in the same abandoned cell where she overheard the villain and the other shadowy figure. So it sort of loops around, right? The story. And she of course found the abandoned cell in the first place because she was following a hooded figure. Call to adventure. On her way to where the Son of the Evening went, she sees a hooded figure going down the dungeons. She decides to follow. The hooded figure into an abandoned cell complex. That could actually also be a reason why no one has found the catacombs, because it's like an abandoned dungeon area. But we of course need to figure out why was the dungeon area abandoned. But I think it makes total sense though, right? It totally makes sense that in the way of our narrative, she follows into an abandoned cell complex, abandoned dungeon, and in this abandoned dungeon, there's a passage that, she falls into the catacombs. But maybe that was why it was abandoned. This catacombs thingy. Or like this dungeon thingy. Maybe could it be as weird a reason that it was thought to be haunted? Maybe not, but weird idea. This part of the dungeon is thought to be haunted. I mean, it's a dumb idea, but maybe it works. Because we are living in a medieval world, right, where superstition reigns free, roams free. You know, I don't hate that either, actually. I also want, at some point in the story, I want Vespa and her bird Lemon to get injured and like share blood with each other. I know that sounds weird and macabre, but I want them to accidentally complete the ritual of binding so they become each other's soul bounds, spirit bounds. But I'm not so sure when it is to happen. If it should be here the second time she's almost killed. Because then she could get healed by some character, like a Chapiter or whatever. It could be cool to have it during this ordeal. But I don't know who's supposed to heal them then. If anyone is. Yeah, I need some more cooking on that one, I think. This, as it turns out, is the secret lair of the villain. So it totally makes sense to have multiple access points to this, right? Because we want the shadowy figure to have a different access point. So this could be that Vespa has accidentally found the way that the shadowy figure finds their way, or gets into this dungeon without being seen, without taking the normal way inside the dungeons. that. Accept that comment. Vespa is now convinced that Son of the Evening is the villain. So here, Vespa finds proof of the conspiracy. Villain returns. Vespa has a dramatic fight with villain. I think I want Vespa and Lemon gets hurt here. And exchanges blood in the process. But manages to get away. Honestly, this might be, well, I guess we basically already written this, right? The Ordeal. And I'm convinced that Son of the Evening is the villain. Or the shadowy figure behind it all. She finds proof of the conspiracy to kill the paladin leader. Proof. What is the proof? Is it messages? Is it orders written down? Maybe it's instructions to create poison from blessed water. Okay, an idea here. What if that particular pool slash basin from seven approach is actually poisoned. Poisoned already. Vespa and Lemon would be in quite the danger. That could be a not a fun side plot, but like fun consequence. And then this could be instructions to create from and in the blessed water. And plus a poison flask of some kind. Yeah. Okay, so then the villain returns. And immediately confronts Vespa with what she's doing there. Animo says I must go to have a meeting with one of my underlings now, and I assume you'll be gone by the time I'm done. So farewell, my friend. I hope to have at least one more chapter finished tonight, though. Animo, thank you so much for joining me. It's been amazing. I am indeed. I think I'm gonna write this ordeal out, and then I'm done for today as well. So great to hear that you might have another chapter finished tonight. Well done. Love it. I love the fact that you've been taking this up again. It's so great, so awesome to hear. And have fun with your underling meeting, whatever that means. This, of course, leads to a fight. Vespa is quite strong, though. So she escapes using that. Dramatic fight. Well then, good night, says Animo. I won't be here on Wednesday because me and Kate are going out for food, but I hope it's a successful stream. Well, that's... Of course I'm sad to hear you won't be here, but you always brighten up my chat and my stream, Animo, but does sound lovely to go out for some food. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening on Wednesday, and thank you for Thank you for being here today and being in the chat. It's great. And night to you. So she escapes using that. However, both her and Lemon... I guess we sort of forgot that Lemon was here. Whisper and Lemon. Decides to follow him. Suspicious behavior. Blah, blah. Whisper and Lemon goes to investigate. Decides they need to hide in the water. To squeeze them both through. On the other side, the pair falls into a secret passageway. Following Vesper and Lemon finds themselves in the same abandoned cell where Vesper overheard. Yeah, okay. So now Lemon is here. Using that combined with Lemon's small but sharp attacks. Beak and claw attack, beak and claw attack. However, both her and Lemon are hurt in the process. The fight. Exchanging blood. It could be that the one who heals them is actually Vesper herself so she ends up in the catacombs being locked by the villain. And who is in the catacombs? Her mentor, who's the ghost of a great Fey folk warrior who teaches her healing magic using, well, whatever Fey folk used to heal. Let's just write that here. Idea. Vesper ends up healing herself and Lemon from the guidance of her Fey folk ghost mentor. She is of course quite drained from this. Okay. Vespa. In the end, Vespa and Lemon manages to get away with the instructions to poison the blessed water in order to kill the paladin leader. Okay, so we managed. Yeah, we managed to actually do the approach to the Inmost Cave and the Ordeal in one and the same live stream. Can we do the last one in 6 minutes? As I said, they're quite intertwined. If actually, this is basically what's happening. In the end of the fight, Vespa and Lemon. Yeah, so we're going to write here the same we wrote up here. Eight, the Ordeal, and 9, the reward. Will probably be made into a single chapter. I'm gonna write that here as well. At the end of the fight, manages to get away with the instructions to poison the blessed water. And kill the paladin leader. Maybe even more members. Of the Paladin Oath. I mean, that would make sense that Vespa has just heard that the Paladin leader would be killed, but if it's the whole pool of the blessed water that is being poisoned and then used for some ritual, like they could kill multiple people, right? And that could lead the way for them to bring about the flood. I think that makes sense. But I also think it makes sense to end the live stream here. So now we actually managed to do approach to the Inmost Cave, the Ordeal, and the reward. To be fair, this is very much like towards the end of the book. So I think that's why it feels very fast. But then again, in Star Wars, in Hero's Journey, that also happens quite towards the end. So yeah, approach to the Inmost Cave, then the Ordeal is here. They get away with the reward, which is the Death Star plans. And on the road back, they're getting chased by TIE fighters. And then the resurrection is the attack of the rebel attack on the Death Star, using the plans. Okay, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about this book. I'm feeling good about the structure that we're making. It's the puzzle pieces are slowly but surely falling into place. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be really, really fun. And with that, we are going to end the stream here. And I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, remember to like it on YouTube, to subscribe to me if you want to join more live streams, and especially for Novel November, whatever we're ending up calling it, where we are going to write this entire book, at least 50,000 words, or attempt to do it during November. Thanks to El Cuervo and Animo for being amazing in the chat as always, and I just want you to remember that we all write our own stories. See you Wednesday. Bye!